the purpose is to grow, is to adapt, to become better. And so, it's not to accumulate a mountain of wealth. It's not to accumulate a bunch of notches on your belt. It's not to get six-pack abs. Like it's none of those things, because those things are, they're fleeting. They don't have any lasting value. But it's to grow. It's to become the best version of yourself possible.
Episode number 96.
And today we have with us a multi-millionaire coach and mentor, YouTuber, and founder of the Bulldog Mindset. He's retired at 33 and has dedicated his life to helping others change their lives as well. It is John Sonmez.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right.
I think to just start out, I know your story is very intense and there's so much to dive into, but just from the very beginning, starting out very young at the age of 19 with a job making $150,000 a year. I'd like to dive into that a little bit before we get into anything else. The audience can understand a little more about you before it all came to be. Like, for instance, so how did you land that kind of job so young?
Yeah. So, a lot of it was luck, right? It was just timing. A lot of times you got to take advantage of luck. I was a software developer, and at that time I was learning C++, like had some skills in that. And a recruiter just happened to contact me from Southern California. I was living in Boise, Idaho at the time. And they had this job that was basically like $75 an hour. And since I lived out of state, I could get per diem, which basically reduced the taxes on it. And the interview process, I hardly went through an interview. It was a big boom they had right then. It was called the dot-com boom in the early 2000s. And it just, the stars aligned and I ended up getting the job. So I just got that kind of a lucky break there. I was a software developer. Obviously I had, software development skills, but it certainly was not, the average job that you could expect having those skills at that time. So,
Yeah. And then also your content is all about helping out us guys. And you obviously seem very passionate about this. So what sparked this desire to promote change and be a coach and mentor to everyone?
Yeah. Mostly my own life, just the things I was going through, and then the growth that I was going through from reading a lot of books, from just developing myself and realizing, the path I had taken in life. Because I started off really, I was a computer programmer, right? Really nerdy, very shy, lazy. And I had to learn, how to change, how to become the man that I wanted to become. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't even know who that was. And it was a long process. It was a lot of work and everything from learning how to build a business and become financially independent to getting in shape. And then especially dealing with women, I was extremely shy. I lacked social skills. I had to learn those things. And so what I realized was that all these things that I had learned, the path I had taken over life, that I could give that kind of a shortcut to guys today that needed that. And they needed it even more than I needed it. Because back then, we had within society at least some amount of masculinity that guys could emulate and understand what it was. But in today's society, it's hard to find. So
right.
Oh, okay.
And also, could you give us like a deep dive, I guess, into the past, into when before the change happened, like before you started to try to change yourself and promote a healthy mindset onto yourself? What was going on before then, and what sparked that change within yourself?
Yeah. So, I really just had the victim mindset. I was really, and like I said, initially with that job, like a lot of my life, like most people's life, is dependent on luck, right? They're not actually forging their destiny. They're not actually making those choices. They're just saying, okay, well, what person will give me a job? I'll take this job. And then, oh, I got laid off. Oh, I got another job. I take that job. I do whatever's laid out in front of me instead of taking charge. So that's what my life was like. And, I played a lot of video games, World of Warcraft, I got, at one point I was in shape, when I was graduating high school, early into college, but then I got out of shape. I got lazy. Again, I got fat, and, I just, my life was it wasn't horrible, right? I was making good money. I was a software developer, but I got to this point where I was like, okay, look, you're not going to get what you want out of life. Like, you're not the guy. Like, I had this delusion, right? We kind of have this delusion in our head. And I think of it as like, someday I'll be, everyone thinks they're going to be a rock star someday. They think they're going to become famous. They think they're going to, whatever, get all the girls, do all, and it's like, yeah, it's not going to happen. That's not the reality. It's not waiting for you someday unless you make it happen. It can be the reality, but you have to do the steps to make it happen. And so that's where I was at, sort of this complacency and blaming, when bad things happen, on luck and fate, instead of taking charge of my life.
Wow. That reminds me though. I know you went through a major transformation. I think what was your heaviest, like 300 pounds, or I
Yeah,
was
about 300.
around 300 pounds. So basically from that point to now, like what in the very beginning did you say, I had enough. I'm ready to make this change. I'm trying to, eat better, start to exercise.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that triggered that was, I remember going to buy some size 46 pants, and that's where I was like, all right, I had to stop pretending like I wasn't fat, because I was like, all right, 44 is pretty big, but 46, that's clearly fat. And at that point I realized, I was like, okay, this is the path that I'm going down. Like, the pant sizes are getting bigger, they're not getting smaller. And so if they don't start getting smaller, they're going to just continue to get bigger, right? That's not the way that I want to. And I'm not going to become, I had this vision in my head of who I am. And I'm like, you're not that guy. You're just a poser. You're just fake, so I had to decide I'm going to become that guy. And that's where really I started to realize that if I didn't turn around the ship right away, right now, that I was not going to, that my future was going to be just getting fatter, and not, or just like staying where I'm at and never getting to where I could be or where I wanted to be.
Mm. Yeah, and earlier you also mentioned about how people have these big dreams and they expect that naturally it's going to come to them, or they're going to grow into this mindset magically or somehow. And that's really an issue that we've noticed with the whole law of attraction. This phase that's been going on. People see it and they just somehow think that, oh, if I just believe, it's going to happen. And obviously, it takes hard work. But where do you stand in all this?
Yeah, I think there's some validity to the law of attraction, to the idea of it, but it's not just like you're just going to like think that's going to happen or want it to happen and it's going to happen. It's that you're going to believe it's going to happen so much that you're going to make it happen, right? That's
Yeah.
the thing, is it's like you're going to take the steps, you're going to act as if it's already happened, act as if you're already this person, and that's what's going to facilitate it happening. I think there is maybe beyond that some sort of thing we don't understand about why affirmations, why like that positive belief does work. I do think there's something there, but a majority of it is going to come from actually taking the action. It's just like sometimes religious people say, I'm waiting on God or whatever, and it's usually just an excuse for inaction, to not do anything. And so I believe that what it comes down to, that is perhaps a more powerful thing there, is the idea of commitment, of fully commitment. Because if you can commit to a thing in life, if you say, all right, I'm burning the boats, I am absolutely going to make this happen, that gives you the highest probability of making it happen. So, and that's really what's required for success, is because especially as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed. And so you have to be committed to winning, to succeeding, because if you're not committed to it, you're going to give up. It's going to be too hard. You have to be so committed to it that whatever happens, you're going to continue that course of action, because that's how you actually win.
No, that's some good stuff right there.
Wow. Yeah.
So what beliefs have you adopted unto yourself? Other than the law of attraction, that's obviously out there. A lot of people are adopting this into their lives. What has helped you, build these businesses, build this brand, and just become overall successful?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. I would say one of them that I think is most important is that that life is unfair and it's not supposed to be fair and it doesn't have to be fair, and no one gives a shit anyway, like about you, basically. Like you can't, because so many people are like, today they're trying to say, oh, it's unfair, oh, you should care about me. No one cares. No one gives a fuck. No one cares about your problem. No one cares about if it's unfair for you. They'll pretend and they'll change their Facebook thing to support some whatever random cause it is today, but they don't actually really give a fuck. They're not going to actually do anything for you or actually really help you. So you have to help yourself, right? You have to, to have that mindset. The other thing I think has been really important for me is this idea of like, I don't want anything I haven't earned, right? If it's not mine, I don't want it. So, you see this a lot with, today with the cryptocurrency, and so many, I see young guys just dumping all their money in there and just like, praying for a moonshot. Like, this is my only chance. And okay, even if you do succeed in doing that, you haven't really earned that. Like, you're not going to get a lot of satisfaction and joy out of making a bet on cryptocurrency and suddenly getting rich. Probably it's not even going to happen, but even if it does, that's not the point. The point is like you build satisfaction out of things that you actually accomplished and created. And so, yeah, so those are really some of the guiding things that I think about it. So, some also things I'd say maybe is like just choosing the hard path because it's hard, right? It's like if you move yourself into a place of discomfort, you will grow. And really, what is the purpose of life? I mean, a lot of people come up with a lot of different reasons, but to me, if it's not exactly this, it's at least somewhere close to the purpose is to grow, is to adapt, to become better. And so, it's not to accumulate a mountain of wealth. It's not to accumulate a bunch of notches on your belt. It's not to get six-pack abs. Like it's none of those things, because those things are, they're fleeting. They don't have any lasting value. But it's to grow. It's to become the best version of yourself possible. And so when you look at life that way, then it's clear why you should take the hard path.
Okay.
Wow. No, I can completely understand the mindset of wanting to just do it for your overall growth, even though it really is not the easiest path. And most would want to avoid that and stay with the pack that, oh, this is the easy path. This is what, everyone else is doing. So it seems like I should be doing it as well. And, this is reminding me, obviously you have the mindset, the Bulldog mentality, your whole brand. And could you describe the process behind developing the Bulldog mindset?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is, well, first of all, it's letting go of the victim mindset, because they're the complete opposite, right? So the victim mindset says, oh, it's not my fault. It's not fair. It shifts responsibility and blame to someone else, right? The Bulldog mindset, in order to adopt that, you have to take personal responsibility for everything in your life, whether it's your fault or not, whether you have a good excuse or not, because you're the one who has to deal with it ultimately. So it doesn't matter, for instance, let's say that you're driving your car and some guy sideswipes you and then runs off, hit and run. Well, you can get upset, you can blame him, you can say it's his fault, you can whatever, but ultimately you're going to have to deal with the problem. So ultimately you might as well accept it's your fault. You're the one driving the car, you're the one who got hit, it's your vehicle. So it's whether it's your fault, it's your responsibility. So it doesn't make any sense to blame anyone or to cry the victim card. The other thing so you have to do is, and it's sort of related, is this idea of acceptance, right? You can't be a bulldog, you can't have the bulldog mindset and then be fighting reality. Like, accept whatever reality is. Okay, it might not be what you want, but it is what it is. That's what. So you're fat. Okay, then accept that. Then now it's time to make a change, but you can't change anything that you don't accept. So it's about accepting reality for what it is, because with that acceptance, now you have the power to change things. And then, it's the never giving up. It's the commitment. It's sticking to a course of action. That's where the kind of the idea of a bulldog comes from, is a bulldog bites or gets something in this head and it never lets go, but it's going to keep on attacking until it gets what it wants. And that's the thing, is you have to, because it's never going to be easy in life. No one's ever just going to give you the keys to the castle. No one's just going to hand you money. girls are not just going to throw themselves at you, right? All these things. You're not just going to build a great physique just by, just by just going to the gym a little bit, or, just doing a few exercises, or taking a bunch of stuff. A lot of guys think, oh, just take a bunch of stuff, and that, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to actually put in work, put in effort, and you have to go when things get hard. That's the Bulldog mindset. So that's what you have to do if you want to develop it, is to accept those things.
Yeah. No, that's awesome right there.
So good. So good.
Yes. And so also, with you and everyone that you've coached and just seen, especially after building this brand, I guess what's one main issue that you see with young men today?
That they're pussies, that they don't have their own thoughts. They're just going along with society. They're going along with, I mean, it's tragic. Especially, I have like about a decent presence on TikTok, and I've been putting some of my videos on there, the clips and stuff. And man, there'll be some guys that will respond and be like, this is toxic masculinity. You should be friends with girls, and you shouldn't treat. And it's like, yeah, okay. I get like some of the things that might be offensive to people that don't understand, but to actually even just come out and like be like that, it's like, wow, that's like such a pussy behavior. Have a backbone, like stand up for yourself, like be a man. Like you're not going to succeed in life with that kind of mindset. So that's really the biggest thing, is it's like there's so much of this, I guess, societal pressure for guys to like get on board with the program, and that's not how that's not how things work. That's not it's not going to get you laid. It's not going to get you success in life and business, and it being a hater. Like you've got to realize that if you want to be a man, you have to be a man. And it even goes the other way, right? Like some guys, I feel like young guys, they either fall into one category or the other, right? And they're both sort of kind of pussy mindset, which is that they're either very much like bought into this whole, feminist type of viewpoint in life, or they're like super the other way, like red pill, like thinking that, that they are these studs when they're not, and they're almost like they're hating on women and just like abusive to people, and not a good person either, right? That they're not, there's like this missing element of understanding what masculinity is that I think so many young men suffer from today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. And where do you think this stems from? All that negativity that's just being spewed out, in the comment section. Like, where do you think this comes from? Because, what it seems like is, yes, it could be like a lack of understanding, or it may stem from ignorance or even personal experience. But, to so instantly go onto the comments and just type in, nope, this is wrong, or, stuff like that. Like, where do you think this stems from?
Yeah, I mean, it stems from a sense of entitlement that is not being fulfilled, right? It's like you've got frustration, right? Like I said, or I tell a lot of guys, I'm like, people who are successful are not spending their time hating on people, or trying to, it. And it's the same thing. It's like, guys are getting laid are not making fun of other guys on TikTok and saying, because they know, first of all, and then second of all, why, how much time do you have that now? Again, if you're making a platform because that's what you do, that's a different thing. Like you got a YouTube channel, you got a podcast, whatever, and you're making content. Yeah, okay, that's fun. But when you got like no followers on TikTok and you're spending time like no one's even listening. Who's listening? Who cares? You know what I mean? Same thing, dropping comments on the YouTube channel. Okay, well, like why? Like what do you accomplish? So usually it's coming from people that are frustrated. That's their, they're trying to create some kind of control in life. And so instead of taking responsibility for their lives, it's easier to blame other people and say, okay, well, this guy's the problem. This is the fault. Like, don't listen to this guy. Like, I know what I'm talking about. And it's see, this is why things are bad, because of people like you. That's the easiest thing to do, is to blame.
No, yeah, no, I 100% agree. And on that note, I guess what's something that you feel people misunderstand about you?
Yeah, boom, perfect.
Yeah, I think that I guess there's a lot of things, but people think a lot of different things, right? They want to put me into some kind of a box because they're used to. So a lot of a lot of people in mainstream society think I'm sexist, which is funny, because I spend a lot of time defending women, and in and against the kind of kind of bull crap that you hear from some of the MGTOW, red pill type of content out there. So then those guys, like a lot of those guys, think that I'm this blue pilled, simp type of guy, which is funny as well, because I certainly am not. I don't think that way at all. So yeah, so I think that's mostly the misunderstanding, is that I'm not on a team. I don't belong to some collective or group. I am myself, and these are my thoughts and my ideas. I don't toe any kind of party line as far as that goes. But yeah, I say that's the biggest thing that people don't understand.
Something I noticed when just immediately going on your social medias is, these titles, they can mislead people and make it be like, oh, he's gonna say this and this. But then when you click on the video, you really understand, he's breaking this down. He's not attacking anyone.
Yeah.
He's really
Right.
not, he's really trying to provide information for you to understand. And I guess for the person that is watching that and doesn't really fully want to see you as a 360 human being, they just see you, oh, for this post, this is just him. Like, could you tell us about, when you felt your lowest, and from an outsider's point of view, you felt like and they would see it as you were at the top of the world.
Oh, when I felt my lowest, and they would see it as that I was at the top of the world.
Yeah, you could tell, like, when you were at your lowest, but from an outsider's point of view, it may seem
Oh,
like
I
you're
see.
at the top of the world.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the biggest point was when I was about 33, and I had, quote, retired. Right, I had basically quit my job, had enough income coming from real estate, like passive income, and my plan was just to go to Hawaii, just to live on the beach and stuff like that. And I did, and I was miserable, right? From everyone else's perspective, here I had achieved this success, and by all means, I was successful financially. I even had a good physique. I had a lot of things going for me, but I didn't feel good about myself. Because I knew that I wasn't living up to my potential. I knew that I couldn't just sit there and not do anything. And that's where I started pushing myself physically to run marathons, to start building up my businesses, and and to even break my social inhibitions, to get out there, to become more social, to be to grow as much as I could. But at that point in life, I mean, like I said, I was a millionaire. Like, people thought that I was successful, and I was successful by the world's means. But true success is, it's like winning. It's like you lose it every night when you go to sleep. Like, you have to wake up and decide that you're a winner again, and you have to fight the battle again. So when people say that someone's successful, it doesn't matter if everyone in the world thinks you're successful, just like it doesn't matter if everyone in the world thinks that you're a failure. It only matters what you think, what you really, really think, when you go to bed at night. Like, did you put in the work today? Did you do what you can? Did you live by your principles? Those are the questions that determine whether you're successful or not. And only you know the answer to that. And that's the only person's whose opinion on it counts. So.
Wow, that's amazing.
No, yeah, that's perfect. 'Cause I was literally just about to ask how you define success, but I mean, that's it right there. And just real, for you and your story, specifically, when you had your mindset on it, like on the future, and once I reach this level, this is success. How did you get out of that trap of constantly putting success as something that's in the future, rather than, no, this is a mindset, this is something I need to adopt now?
Yeah, I mean, it was from a lot of disappointment from, I mean, so many milestones I would hit in life and be like, okay, then I'll be successful. Or, we call it being happy is really how we equate this. And so it's like, yeah, I remember thinking, well, if I could just get a job as a programmer, I'll be happy. And then it's like, if I can make six figures, if I could make this amount of money, if I could, get get this girl, get a girl, get this girl, get lots of girls, right? Whatever it was, I hit those milestones, become a millionaire, get benched this much, all these things that I hit, write a book, build a business, quit my job, like all these things. If I could just write or could just do YouTube videos, I hit all these things and I wasn't happy. In fact, most of the time when I accomplished major goals, I felt depressed afterwards. And so what I realized was I needed to make a shift, because it's not about like setting goals should never be about what you get. It should be about what you become, right? The whole purpose of the goal, it's not to reach it, it's to give you a direction to move so that you can grow. That's the thing. And so my whole philosophy on setting goals has shifted now. I don't want to, set a goal so that I can get there, right? Instead, I want to set a goal so it's just making it a direction, something for me to aim for, to choose to move in that direction, right? So, for example, last year I set a goal of running a 100-mile race, and it wasn't for my health. I wasn't going to make money. There was like, but what it was that challenge, the work that I have to put in that would cause me to grow. And that was the direction I wanted to grow, to become stronger, to become tougher. Right. And that was really the reason for setting that goal.
Wow. Something that I feel like a lot of people just need to take a step back and see is, what are your day-to-day, things that you do once you wake up? Like, do you have a routine? Do you have things that you need to write down that you need to do? Like, how is, like, say, a shortened day in the life?
Yeah. So for the most part, my life is a little bit different than it was when I was in as much of a hustle mode. And I vary from time to time, but basically what it looks like is that I plan my week and then I plan my days. And so I have certain number of Pomodoro that I do. Is basically like a 25-minute work and then 5-minute break system. But I plan those out so that I'm doing so many per day. And then I have like this planning board where I have all the cards of the stuff that I'm going to do. And I have it scheduled for my week. And I basically work, from when I start my work day, which is usually, somewhere around 8 a.m. or so till like 5 or 6 at night, and get all the work done that I can during that time. And it's what I've planned and prioritized. And that's basically how it goes. I don't do a lot of I try to not have a lot of extra stuff added in there, morning routines type of stuff, because I feel like it creates a burden that you either go through the motions to do it, or you don't feel like doing it. So then it creates another barrier to getting work done. So I just pretty much just sit down at my desk and start working.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, that works out then.
Yeah.
And on that note as well, like what's one of the things that you feel guys in their 20s should focus on specifically in this phase? What is something that you feel like they should start focusing on?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is starting to build a business now. I think that makes a lot of sense, because if you do it now, within 5 years, you could be to the point where you can make enough money to live off of it. And within 10 years, you could be, rich. And it could happen before then, but it's a worthwhile effort to pursue, especially when you're young, because you got enough time and you don't have a lot of expenses. So, if you're eventually going to want to, build a business, and then start working on that. Even if you're working a regular job, start building a side business. You need to have something else for income coming in. And then and then the other thing I'd say, which is critical too, is reading a lot of good books. That's so important to do in your 20s, because it's going to shape your mindset and how you live your life, which will prevent you from making mistakes that will cost you down the road. Invest in your health and your fitness. Get in shape. It's going to be easier to do it now, right? Get on a strict diet. pay the dues, basically sacrifice. Don't waste your time partying. Don't waste your time playing video games. You can do some of that stuff later on, right? And don't waste your time chasing women around too much. You can do it a little bit, like develop your social skills, but it's going to be much easier for you to attract attractive women when you're in your 30s. It will, like, if you do what you're supposed to do, if you have a good job, if you have a business that you've started building, if you have a good physique, if you've done those things and developed your social skills and have improved yourself and improved your mind and have developed your masculinity, know who you are as a man, then by the time you're in your 30s, it'll be easier, right? Don't swim against the current, right? Swim with the current. So work on all that stuff, and really think of it as like, the thing I always think about in life is that do things, make choices right now that will give you the best life 5 years from now, right? Keep making those choices, because that's going to lead you down the right path of making smart choices, because eventually that time's coming, right? Too many, I think, it's like I said with the crypto, it's like if you're in your 20s right now and your plan for getting rich is that Bitcoin's going to go up or whatever crypto, okay, maybe that might be true, but that's a horrible plan, because you don't, that's depending on not having any kind of business skills, not developing yourself in any way, like just having this moonshot. And if it doesn't work out, you're screwed. And even if it does work out, you're probably screwed, because you're still going to be like an idiot with a bunch of money. Like, that's not a good thing to be either, right? So work on actually growing and improving yourself. Don't try and take any kind of shortcuts. Realize that you're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to put in the grind. Life is a grind, and start doing it now and stop delaying it, right? So many guys I see just going out and spending money, partying, trying to like live their best life now in their 20s. No, live your best life in your 30s. Don't do it in your 20s, because that it'll be much easier, right? So it's like, I always tell guys, like, it's like, okay, you can go to the club and pop a bottle, get it on your credit card now, and then pay for it for the next 5 years, or you can not do that now and save that money, invest in yourself, and then when you're 30, you can do it from cash, from some spare cash that you have. That's not a big deal, like some leftover money, and you're not going to pay for it, it's going to be a lot cheaper in a sense. So make those smart choices.
Okay. Now that's some really good stuff. And I'm also curious as to where you want to put more emphasis on. For example, starting that business, taking these risks and developing a skill on the side and putting money into these things, or do you feel like people should also have a balance of maybe investing in certain things, or putting money aside and saving it? Or where do you stand on the saving versus putting that money to
Yeah, don't save money, don't invest money. It's until you have money, because it doesn't even make sense, because compounding interest doesn't really work very well unless you have either a lot of time, a lot of money to start with, or a very, very high interest rate, right? So too many people are taking the slow path. Read Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco, and that's a good thing to get some knowledge in this. But basically, guys ask me all the time, where should I invest $1,000, right? And my answer is nowhere. Why waste the time? Don't think, like, invest in yourself. Buy a course, buy a program, buy education, buy training, buy something to build your business, whatever it is. Invest in yourself, because it doesn't make any sense, because you're not going to make a lot of money off of $1,000. Like, it's a waste of your time and effort. Instead, spend that time and effort making money, or figuring out how to make more money, and then you can invest that money, right? That makes a lot more sense, right? Until you can buy some real estate, right? You can put 20% down on real estate. So you need, like, really, minimum 30, 40K before it even matters. Because once you can start buying some real estate, then you're getting a high enough return that's worth it on that amount of money. You've got enough capital. But when you don't have a lot of capital, don't, like, if you're working a summer job, don't save that money, just spend that money. So, I mean, invest a lot of it in yourself, and then enjoy the rest of it, like, because it's such small potatoes, right? It doesn't matter when if you're making like $15 an hour right now, saving that money when you're going to be able to make a lot more money, it's ridiculous. Like, use that money to be able to make it so you can make more money, figure out some skills, invest in yourself, but don't think about that, because you're not going to get rich making less than 6 figures a year. It's just not going to ever happen. No matter how much you save, no matter how smartly you invest, it doesn't matter. So you got to figure out, if you're making less than 6 figures a year, then take all the money you're making and figure out a way to make it so you can make more than 6 figures a year. Because then now you can save 10, 20,000, maybe $30,000 a year. And now you can actually do some real investing. But don't waste your time. Think about, trying to get to a point where you make enough money where it's worth it.
Mhm. Okay. No, yeah, that makes complete sense. And also, I'm curious as to what advice you have for those who are trying to find that work/passion balance. Because usually when someone wants to start a skill or start a business, it's something around their interests, it's something they're trying to grow. Where do you find that balance, if any, or where should the focus be on this situation?
Yeah, there's a really good book by Cal Newport called "So Good They Can't Ignore You." I recommend reading that book. He kind of addresses the idea of like follow your passion, which is horrible advice. You shouldn't follow your passion. You should bring passion to what you do, right? So, but the thing is, like, whatever you do, whatever you love, you're eventually going to hate. That it's two sides of the same coin, and you could just, I call it the closet of broken dreams, right? It's like, a guitar that you picked up that you didn't learn to play, or really played for a little bit, some soccer cleats from when you're going to play soccer, and then, yellow belts from karate, and some drumsticks, whatever you have, a novel half written, or actually one chapter written, like all these things that you think you're going to do, and then you don't finish them. And the reason why is because, like, you lose the passion for it, right? If that's what you think is, the motivation, it disappears. Instead, you have to commit to things and say, look, I'm going to make this shit happen, and I'm going to put the work into it, because you're going to hit the point where you're going to feel burnt out. You're going to feel like this is not the thing you want to do anymore. And then you're going to be tempted to move on, but you're never going to get anywhere in life if you do that. There's sort of this thing that happens. It's like, initially when you start doing something, you have a high amount of passion and motivation, because you're interested in it. But then and you're learning real quick, you're making gains very quickly because you're a beginner. Okay. And so that keeps your motivation going up. What starts to happen as you start to get better is that you stop seeing the gains, so your motivation drops, and so you feel like you don't have passion for this thing anymore, and it becomes boring, and you don't like it anymore. And so most people quit there. But if you push through that wall, and push through what people think is burnout, then on the other side of it, as you start to become more expert level in that skill, then all of a sudden you start to see gains come again, and you start enjoying it more, because it's more rewarding, because you're good at something, you're really good at it. And and you get a disproportionate share of the rewards, right? So that's the key, is to push through, and not just go based on what is your passion. Pick a thing. It doesn't even matter what it is. Put your passion into it and become successful at it.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. That makes so much sense, because I feel like that's basically what discipline is, right? I mean, it's also that bulldog mindset is working despite that lack of motivation, and putting in that consistency and effort into making that success happen, right?
Yeah, no. And I can definitely feel that hitting someone out there, someone listening, someone's like, you know what? Yes, this is my time. This is the sign, whatever sign they decided they needed, but some advice that they can finally really indulge in and take in. And something is like, for the upcoming generation out there listening, watching, wondering how to even begin and starting to develop a better overall mindset, like, what are your top 5 books you would recommend to them, or any other sources that you'd wish we would have known sooner?
Yeah, I mean, I would say As a Man Thinketh. It's a real short book, real good one, by James Allen. And then let's see, how about How about Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl? That's also a really good book. He was a Holocaust survivor, and he really, if you want to get rid of the victim mindset, if anyone could call himself a victim, he could, and he didn't.
Oh yes.
Right.
Okay.
I would say, for reprogramming your mind, like Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. It's an older book, but very, very good book. Let me see what else I would say. There's so many good books here, but I think that every guy should read uh, The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. It's a good book about what it is to be a man and masculinity. And I'm trying to think if there's another one I would say that's real good. So many to choose from.
Definitely some good ones so far. I mean,
yeah, it would change from time to time, but I would say maybe like the Four Agreements would be another good one. There's there's a lot. There's a lot of books, but yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that works.
No, that was really good. I appreciate that because I know someone out there now has at least some baseline of what can I do to get started. And something that I notice now, a lot of people like to show their highlights on, social media. They like to just show the glitz and the glamour. And especially nowadays, that's really what people see. They only see that and they think, why is that not happening to me? So for you personally, and maybe everything is going good. I mean, personally, I don't know, but that's why, I'm saying, what's been, one of your biggest failures in the last year, and what do you think that happened?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, there's a lot. I've done a lot of things that I thought were going to work that didn't end up working out. I mean, one of them was just even last year when I was trying to run that 100-mile race with COVID and everything, it messed it up. Like I couldn't, the races were canceled. The race I entered was canceled. I ran 50 miles. I had to run it by myself because the race was canceled. So I just did that. And then I was training for the 100 miles, and there was multiple things that went wrong. One of them was that I started to get sick, and that set me back. And then a second one was, I think my training, I had a coach, but still my responsibility. My training was probably not what I needed. It wasn't exactly enough, even though I was running like 70 miles a week, and I kind of knew it, and I should have been prepared for that. But then when I was ready to start to do the run, to attempt it, I was sick, and so it set me back. And so yeah, I mean, it was a big, I spent a year training for this thing, and then at the end I couldn't end up doing it, but I put in all the effort and work that I could, up to that point. But yeah, it was a failure. So but I learned from it, I grew from it, and I really got what I wanted out of the experience, was the work of growing myself through it. But yeah, but there's been a ton of business failures, things that I thought were going to take off, things that campaigns I've run that I got no return on. So plenty of videos. I mean, I make videos, and sometimes the best videos strike out, and sometimes so there's a lot of things for sure.
No, that's so amazing. The ability to be vulnerable with it, and show the people, this is, I am doing well financial wise, social media wise, but there's still things that that happen in my life and I struggle with. And I feel like that shows to others, we have the capability of also failing and keep going. And I think one last question for me, and then we can lead on to rapid fire questions to just wrap it up. So this might be a little selfish. Is when did you start with the running, and like what were the first things you did to fully start to develop that? And what advice would you give to beginner runners?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started running, I just did like a couch to 5K program, and then I was running just 5K like 3 times a week, 3.1 miles or so. And I never started liking running, and I never got any better and never got any faster, because it's just not enough. You have to do a lot of it in order to really see growth. So I would say, if you can afford a coach, just get a coach. It's like $100 a month to like do a virtual coach or so, maybe $120 a month. And you can get, someone who can make the plan for you, tell you what to train. And, but aside from that, just start training on a half marathon training program and then a marathon training program. Like, if you just get on the program, something that's proven that people have done, and you just follow what you're supposed to do, you will get there. It might not be the most optimal if you're trying to like run as efficiently as possible or to get the best time, but it will get you there. And then from there, you can work on the specifics. But ultimately you just it's trusting the process, right? It's like, okay, what you're supposed to run, so you just go and you do that run. You just have to have something on paper where okay, today I'm supposed to run this many miles. Because if you just leave it up to yourself, like, I'm just going to start running and I'll just run when I feel like running, you're never going to get anywhere.
Good. No, that's really good. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I know someone else took that.
Yes. So now we're going to go and wrap this up with our last 5 questions. Now, these can be rapid fire questions. You can elaborate on some if you'd like. But really, let's go ahead and jump into the first one. And the first one is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think that, well, I guess it would change from day to day, but I'll say this one is that, Marcus Aurelius said basically that, how much more grievous are the results of anger than the causes of it. So, it's like when you get mad, what you do is usually worse than what made you mad. So, think about that.
That's really
That's a good one. All righty. Next one is, what's the worst piece of advice that you've ever received?
That's interesting. Oh, I know what it is. Stay in your lane. That, there is no fucking lane. You can do whatever you want to do. No one has to knight you or mint you an expert. You can do whatever you want to do.
Nice. All right. On to the third question. What's something that you know to be true, but that others might disagree with you on?
What do I know to be true? I would say, there's probably a lot of things, but, well, I'll say this because, especially to a younger audience of men, that's really important to understand, which is that it's not all about looks. It's not all about looks, right? So many guys today are brainwashed into believing that it's all about looks, right? And it's not that looks don't matter. There's so much more that matters. It's about the whole package. It's about being a high status, high value guy and building yourself up. It's not just, people will tell you that it's all about looks, that, they will give you the evidence of it. People will try and convince you that it doesn't matter, but it's not correct. What is correct is that it matters to a degree, but you have to work on other things. Your social skills matter, right? What you say matters. The number of times you're willing to face rejection, that matters, right? How you think about yourself, how you act, that matters. All of those things are more important than looks itself. So
awesome. No, that's a really good one right there.
That was really good.
On to the fourth. What's something you wish you knew earlier?
I would say that building a business is the best way to build wealth. I wish I would have known that, because then I would have just started. I would never probably have worked for anyone else. I would have just started building a business from the beginning. So
okay.
Awesome.
And the fifth and final question is, what is one law that everyone in the world had to, like, if you could create one law, what would that law be? And if everyone in the world had to follow it, what would it be?
That's interesting. I'm libertarian, so I'm not I'm not for creating laws, but if I could create one, I think it would be
And by the
No
way, guys,
whining.
oh, the whining.
Yeah, no whining. You
No
can't whine.
Oh, no whining. That's a good one.
No, that is
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And what I was going to say is, by the way, guys, these questions were inspired by Jay Shetty. So if y'all know him, this is what we got, these amazing last 5 rapid fire questions. And I feel like that's the best way to wrap it up here.
Yes, definitely. I also just want to express some gratitude.
Yes.
Thank you, for taking the time out of your day to be here with us and hopefully inspire someone to do better with them. Starting today, you have a reason. You've got, you can go through this whole podcast, really sit and indulge with what, just went down and see what can I do now action wise to better myself. And I feel like, you dropped a lot of, nuggets in there. And, we do appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
No, we do. We really do appreciate that. And also, where are some of the places where people can find you? Where do you want to lead our audience to?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is just to go to bulldogmindset.com, and then you'll see a little pop-up to take the Bulldog quiz, which you should take so you can figure out what your Bulldog score is from 0 to 100. It basically is going to tell you how mentally tough you are and how well you are set on the path to success in life. And yeah, so just go to that bulldogmindset.com, and I'll send you some videos and some ways to raise your score and an analysis of it after you do that. So
awesome.
Perfect.
All right, perfect. And either way, we will have all the socials down below.
Yes.
Everything that y'all need will be down below. So that's it then.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your time.
yeah, thank you guys.